Okay, so thank you very much for coming today. So today we get to talk about it's the third of six, and we get to talk about swapping your fats and snacking on nuts and seeds. I'm excited. So let's get started. If I can move the screen, right? Okay, so if you were here last week, you might remember some of these little circles. Brent, thank you. That helps. Okay, might remember the little circles. And so we got to do this one more time as a review. So if you remember all the different aspects of eating the Mediterranean way, so there's a bunch of them. And then we have like these four other supporting things. And if you guys could help me with identifying them, I would love it. So we have um, Okay, so what are some of the key aspects or the key tenets of eating the Mediterranean way? If you can just either unmute yourself or type it in the chat, I would be grateful. So, like, there's a picture of the one of them. Does anyone remember? What are some of the key things of eating the Mediterranean way? I know you guys know. Jamie, yes, olive oils and good fats. That's one of the circles. Anybody remember any of the other ones? Pam, yes, good job. Nuts and seeds. That's what we're talking about today. So you guys got the two we're talking about today. That was good. And then fish for protein. Yes. Janet, good job. Do you guys remember how many times a week it's recommended to have fish? How many do you guys think? Don, yep, that's another one. Veggies and the fruit. That's good job. Yes. Three, 2 to 3 at least. Good job, you guys. Okay, so three, and so there's a couple other of the circles. Do you guys remember any of the other ones or any of the supporting things? And then I'll advance this forward so we can get going. You guys remember that one? Yes, done. Good job. Greens, yes. So the greens, the vegetables, well, beans, that's another of the lean proteins, remember? So fish, really often, more than we have it in America, and then beans, and nuts and seeds for protein. So those are our key things. So having plant-based proteins and then fish. Remember, more feet, more fat. So we're trying to go with less feet. And then there's the fish. You guys got that one. Nuts and seeds, you guys got that one too. Olive oil, you got this one. I think the herbs, that's what it was. So Jamie, maybe you're remembering that picture, but the herbs and spices, I'm trying to remember them too. And then red wine. So, okay, so these are the key things for that. And then remember physical activity. That is a key part of this too. So it's not just eating, but it's a lifestyle. And then eating with others. So that's really important, and just enjoying what you're eating and trying to do less sugar. So less of that. Okay. And we continue on. Okay, so what sets the Mediterranean way apart from other eating patterns? So I was doing a lot of research for this presentation just to make sure I had all my ducks in a row. And the thing that really sets this apart from maybe other ways of eating that are really healthy for you. So you could also do a vegetarian diet, and that can be healthy for you. You can also do they call it the American healthy diet or the US American standard diet, and that's a little bit different, maybe more dairy and more meat, but you can eat healthy that way also. But what sets this apart from maybe other eating patterns or really like other diets is that it's simple, it's delicious, and it's satisfying. So I was reading one of the studies, and they were saying, if you don't want to do like you can do a vegan lifestyle that's low fat and high in plants, and very low in oils and fats. But this way is a lot easier to stick to. And people also find it delicious and satisfying. So you can, do things multiple ways, but that is something that sets this apart. Okay, how do you eat the Mediterranean way? So the first thing would be to change your protein. So trying to have more of those beans as part of your meats. We talked about that last week. If you're having tacos, have some of the meat, beans, and then having fish, like multiple times a week. Remember, salmon Saturday or salmon Sunday, and swapping your fats. So we'll talk about that today. Eating more vegetables and fruit, snacking on nuts and seeds, whole grains, and then rethinking your sweets to do a little bit less of that. So we're doing that med instead of meds contest. So if you haven't submitted anything, now is your chance. We have one of the recipes tonight. It's just olive oil and bread. So I know you guys can do this. So if you make any of the recipes, then if you just take a picture of it, and they can be any of them off of that medinsteadofmeds.com. I just really want you to be able to taste some of these recipes so that you can see that it can be delicious and tasty and not, delicious and satisfying. Okay, so then you get an entry into a drawing, and the drawing will be held on the last class. I'm going to draw for some grocery store gift cards. And here, just I have to show you one that Cheryl sent me last week. That is a pretty cool picture, I thought. It's of that lentil. She did, she has an allergy to lentils, so she did a different kind of beans. But you guys can see, like, my picture is in the back. I felt like I should frame that or something. I was like, what? You know, you never get to see it that perspective. So, and then here were some other pictures that people sent in. So then for each of those, like, recipes they made, so one for the lentil salad and one for the seared salmon, then they get an entry. And then this person on the bottom, there's Dawn. Yeah, she submitted it, and she said her husband didn't like beets, so they did squash instead. And here's a couple other pictures. But it's cool how things turn out, you know, all good, just different. Okay, so yeah, so you'll have to submit your pictures. So the ideas with this would be to swap your fats. So choosing olive oil, that is the significant fat in the Mediterranean lifestyle, and we know it's really good for your heart. So replacing solid fats, that would be like butter and margarine, with olive oil, that's what we want to do. Using it in cooking and dressing and marinades. And the aim is to consume at least 4 tablespoons per day for the Mediterranean lifestyle. So that seems like a crazy amount, but it really can add up quickly if you use it. And the idea is that you're not using it on top of all the other things that you're eating. You're replacing some of the fats you currently use. Okay, so we used to go on this fat-free craze. It's like a thing of the 1970s, probably till 1990s. So it's fat-free foods all the time. So what we did then, which we didn't know was a bad thing, but we replaced that fat with refined carbohydrates. And it turns out, so people were having things like, you know, maybe fat-free ranch. And so maybe they would be taking out the fat, but adding sugar. Like I remember buying peanut butter before I was a dietitian, and I was getting that, there's the reduced fat peanut butter. And so what they do then is they take out the fat, they take out the healthier of the fats, and then they replace it with a little bit more sugar. And so you're ending up either getting the same amount of calories or more calories, and you're replacing it with something that's not as good. But we didn't know that, we didn't know. And so this is what we did, but we know this for sure now. We've done a lot of studies. So replacing saturated fat, so that would be the fats that are solid at room temperature. So that's like butter and margarine, with those refined carbohydrates. So not whole grains. We usually replaced it with sugars or some like something refined. Like, do you guys remember those cookies that were fat free? So refined grains, we know that does not decrease the risk of chronic disease. But if you replace saturated fat with these healthier fats, there's positive health benefits. So we were just replacing it with the wrong thing. So that can be really helpful for us. So here is like the fat choice continuum. I love the, yes, Jamie, snack balls. They're kind of good. Okay, but the fat choice continuum. So it's like that protein handout that we did last time. It's like to eat more and then kind of eat less. So we know that trans fats is bad for us, and we used to have them in our foods, but then when we figured out that they were really bad for us, then they were outlawed from the food supply, and they had to be labeled on the label now. So if you ever see anything that still has trans fats, definitely try to avoid it. That would be really good. But the other things like that you want to choose are those unsaturated fats. So those omega-3 fatty acids, which are really good for your brain and your heart, and they come from things like flax seeds and walnuts and fish. And then there's all these other unsaturated. So trying to have more oils instead of the solid fats. Okay, that is what we want. And this is pretty cool chart. I'll have you guys looking really close, but in general, just you can kind of see all the different oils and how they rank in the saturated fat. So like from the chart, you can see why olive oil is being held as the primary oil to consume. It's high in those monounsaturated fats, and it's more affordable and easier to cook with than some other oils that are similar in that composition. So you could get hazelnut oil or almond oil, but olive oil is very versatile and it has similar of the fat profiles. And then canola oil, that's another one that stands out as an affordable and versatile option that's high in unsaturated fat and low in saturated fat. And then there's other oils too, and they can be used in cooking because of their affordability, and they're, sometimes have less flavor. And canola oil too, I like that one when I'm baking, because sometimes if I'm using extra virgin olive oil, it has a significant taste. So just thoughts on that. So trying to think about what oil you're using and then choosing those monounsaturated fats are really good for you. So nearly 9 out of 10 people are still worried about consuming fat, but there's evidence that shows that maybe it's that type of fat then, or not maybe, it is. So debunking some of the common urban myths. These are very important. So let's get into more detail about this. So sometimes people say, don't cook with olive oil. There's a smoke point and you don't want to go above that. The other thing is there's been some things around that says most olive oil is fake or, adulterated. And then canola oil is deadly. So these are kind of severe, but I have heard some of these things and I've heard them in my classes. So we're going to break these down. Okay, so is there a danger with heating olive oil? So that is the urban myth number one. So it's like, say that some people say that heating olive oil turns into cancerous compounds and you will lose all the benefits when you heat it. So it's like some people say, like you might have heard, monounsaturated fats are not heat stable. Heart healthy compounds are damaged by heat. Heat destroys omega-3 acids, and olive oil has the lowest point, making it no good for cooking. And all of these things are actually untrue or misleading. I was going to try to combine words. So all oils oxidize if you heat them. It doesn't matter what they are made of. In fact, monounsaturated oils like olive oil are actually more heat stable than some polyunsaturated oils that are commonly used for cooking, like vegetable oil, corn oil. So it's looking like the smoke point is important, but also something that we're realizing more and more is that it's also what the oil is made up of. And the monounsaturated fats are actually more stable than the polyunsaturated fats, and can be heated to a higher heat than we originally thought on a lot of them. And olive oil does not contain a lot of those omega-3 fatty acids. It has a monounsaturated, and omega-3 is a polyunsaturated. So it's a claim, so most of the heating that's going to focus on destroying those, that's obviously a myth. And then the claim that olive oil has a low smoking point. And so that's the temperature at which an oil begins to break down, and then it can impart flavors that you don't want in your food. So olive oil's smoke point is 392 degrees to provide, and that's extra virgin olive oil. So to provide context, like if you compare to something that's deep fried, so you might deep fry at like 350 to 375. So you can see that 392, that's above that. So you could actually, deep fry foods in olive oil. But so this being said, you don't want to overheat any oil, but just the fact that people, or you might have heard that there's a danger when heating it, that would be untrue. So it actually has a pretty high smoke point, and yeah, we're good to go on that. Okay, another one. So you can look at, this is a good site when you're debunking myths. You can look at scienceornot.net. It's kind of interesting just looking at there, but a resource can help you determine whether claims you come across are true. And it's a great place to learn about some of the olive oil details and other topics that might be of interest. So is it fake then? Okay, this came out arose from tests that were carried out on olive oils between 2008 and 2010. And they showed that many store brand olive oils on the market were being labeled extra virgin. So that's like a highly regulated label. And even though they did not meet the extra virgin labeling requirements, so that was a disappointment. But these tests never stated that the olive oils were fake or not made from olives, nothing like that. But they didn't always meet those stringent extra virgin standards for like the taste, the aroma, color, and the flavor profiles. So actually, that led us into really watching the labels more. So recent tests on olive oil have found that the labeling has become more accurate and manufacturers have been more stringent on what they label extra virgin olive oil. So we have learned from that, and it looks like, now people are doing a lot better and they're not trying that anymore. Okay, and then canola oil. And so this is something I have heard a few times. It's hard. Okay, so this urban myth arose from the fact that the seed from the canola oil is made from, the seed that it's made from is also used as an industrial lubricant. However, there are lots of industrial lubricants that have a counterpart in the food system, and the two don't have a lot to do with one another. So another place you can check for false information would be Snopes. It's SNOPES.com for more details, but just, rapeseed oil. Okay, so that's where it comes from, is this, it has a high percentage. Okay, so there's rapeseed oil, and it's naturally has a high percentage of this uric acid. And so that's associated with heart lesions in laboratory animals. And so what people did then is they, with traditional plant breeding methods, made a new plant based on the rapeseed, because the oil was very good otherwise, except for this uric acid. And so they made another plant, and that one has very, very, very low uric acid and a great healthy profile. So that is what became canola oil then. So it's not the same as the rapeseed oil. If that makes a little bit of sense. I hope so. I hope I'm saying that clearly. But yeah, so it's a different plant. You don't have to worry about it. And it has a good fatty acid profile, but it has some bad rap just because it's related to that rapeseed oil. Okay, so these are just things then that don't cook with olive oil. Most olive oil is fake and canola oil is deadly. And these are myths. All right, so not true on those. So making olive oil your go-to fat for cooking and salad dressings. That's what we would want to do then. Aiming for 4 tablespoons of oil per day. And for those, like, if you're new to the Mediterranean way of eating, that might sound like a lot of olive oil, you're like, where am I going to do this? So you're swapping it, right? So looking at this picture, then you can see the example of how you could get it throughout your day. So instead of butter on your toast, for instance, you would put olive oil and use in a vinaigrette. And then you could roast some vegetables in olive oil, and then you do chicken breast sauteed in olive oil. So like if you're making eggs, you could do those in olive oil. And then swapping your fat. So cooking with healthy oils instead of solid fat, and drizzling dressing dishes and with healthy oils, and replacing that solid fat with healthy oils. And then also thinking too, sauteing your food in olive oil rather than butter or sauteed or saturated fats. So this tomato soup recipe, that's on Med Instead of Meds. And instead of sauteing, you start out with sauteing some onions and carrots, and you do that in olive oil instead of butter. And then roasting some foods, that's another recipe found in there, and that's with olive oil. And think about just then when you're roasting them, try to roast them below the 392 smoke level for olive oil. So that's extra virgin olive oil. So olive oil itself has an even higher smoke point. But just we would want to choose, if we can, the extra virgin, just because of all the extra benefits. And so that one has that smoke point of 392. So if you roast vegetables, doing it like 375 can be great. And then searing chicken with olive oil, and then baking recipes, you can use olive oil instead of butter. And here's some other ideas. So making hummus, drizzling some olive oil on there, extra flavor, and using olive oil based dressings. And then kind of a fun thing, and we'll do that tonight, is just, not, you don't have to buy salad dressings. Is you can definitely make your own, and there's a lot of great recipes out there for doing that. And there's some of those on the Med Instead of Meds website. And so we're going to make one of those today. But dressing 101 would be to start with a jar with screw top lid, because then you can just shake it, and that makes it a lot more fun to make. You add an acid, and then you add oil. So I would say, starting with like half acid, half oil, and then you can adjust the oil more or less as needed based on your taste preferences. And then you would add a seasoning, and you can shake and serve. And sometimes you might see like a mustard in there, and just a little bit of mustard. So we have that mustard in the dressing tonight, but it helps it emulsify and stay together. So that's kind of one of the reasons that they put that in there. And then you shake it, and you can store it in the refrigerator for a few weeks. And you can, when you want to use it again, you can take it out so that the oil will reliquify, because sometimes oil, it moves to solid in the refrigerator. So just taking it out a second before you want to use it can be good. So there's recipes like there's a citrus salad dressing. It has only the 3 ingredients: citrus, olive oil, and salt. And then there's a balsamic Dijon vinaigrette. And that one also good. And then there's like a Caesar on there, sherry Dijon, chili lime, cumin vinaigrette, which we made last time. So you got some options. And then it can save money too, which is nice. And then replacing bacon fat with olive oil in one of the recipes up there, where some people, you might have used bacon fat before. Replace butter with olive oil, and then replacing mayonnaise with olive oil in the Mediterranean tuna salad. So I made that with one of the classes one time. And I have to say too, if you guys come across any recipes where you think we should do a demo on them, please let me know, because I have them kind of laid out, but I try to take into account kind of comments that you guys have or questions, so that I can customize it for what you guys would like. So that would be really good. So just let me know if you see anything and you're like, I think we should try that. Dark bottle or can. So, okay, so how do you buy an olive oil? So you go to the store, and there are 1,000 different ones. And so one thing, there's like the 3 steps to buying olive oil that are just, simple and kind of key things. So you choose an olive oil that's in a dark bottle or can. Why? So any unsaturated fat oil, if it's exposed to light, it begins to break down. So the dark bottle can protect the oil and then increase its shelf life. So try to get a dark bottle or can. And then look for the extra virgin. So extra virgin, that's that regulated designation. It's the highest quality of olive oil. And it's like the first press then. This slide shows the 2 types of olive oil. So there's 100% olive oil on the left, pure, and extra virgin olive oil on the right. So both are healthy olive oil choices, but the extra virgin olive oil has a higher quality oil and tends to have a more robust flavor. So if you're baking, you might actually want the one on the left, but the extra virgin is the one that just stands out with health benefits. So some people, you might use like the extra virgin for when you want that flavor for dressings and when you're drizzling on like hummus and things like that. But even extra virgin olive oil, you can bake with it and things like that. And if you're going to just have one in your home, make it the extra virgin olive oil. Good to go. And then look at the best by date. So that would be the 3rd thing. So you got the dark bottle, you got extra virgin, and then why the best by date? Just the best by date relates to when the olive oil should be opened by. So once olive oil is opened, then you introduce it to that air, and the air affects its shelf life. So upon opening, it's recommended that you use it in 30 to 60 days. And if you store it in the refrigerator, that can extend that a little bit. So that's a nice thing about the fridge. So buy olive oils in appropriate size containers. So that'd be another thing. Just, if you're, sometimes you can get a really big container for a good deal, but if you're not going to use it, it has a shelf life. And so trying to get like the size container that works for you. So it might be better to buy smaller ones and then just replace it more, especially if they don't cost more to do it that way. So finding one that fits your needs and then trying to store it near your cooking area so you would use it, but at the same time away from light and heat. So maybe in a cupboard or a cabinet. So sometimes you might think, olive oil is expensive. And it can be expensive, but it does not have to be. So you can get good quality olive oil for reasonable prices, which is really nice to hear. And oil, it doesn't have to break your budget then. So you can look for it. Just look for that dark bottle, the best by date, and then look for extra virgin. And you can get it in most discount stores, online, or other places where you do your shopping. So here might help a little bit with decoding some labels. So you might see things like product of Spain or made in Spain versus 100% Spanish. So a product of Spain, if it's made in Spain or any country, it means that the olive oil is made and bottled in that country. However, the olives could be from somewhere else. So 100% Spanish or another nationality labels mean that the olives in that product are all from that specified country. And it's kind of cool because olives are like grapes and they take on a little different flavor based on where they're growing and the soil. So you can have slightly different flavors based on where the olives are from. So sometimes you might become a connoisseur and really like certain kind of olive oil from a place. So any of these products could be great choices as long as they meet those three things, like the dark, can, extra virgin, and then the sell by date. So snacking on nuts and seeds. So let's talk about that now. So we got olive oil. If anybody has any questions, yeah, okay. So it doesn't matter, glass or plastic. And then Don said, is there a difference when it's cold pressed? So that's that extra virgin olive oil. And I believe that is always cold pressed. And so what they do is they just don't use any heat, and that's why it has the most flavors, and it has the most like antioxidants and things like that too. So so then to get more out of the seed, you use some heat, and then the flavor kind of goes down a little bit, which can make it good for baking, but the antioxidants go down a little bit too. So good question. I hope I'm answering that correctly. Okay. So snacking on nuts and seeds. So do you guys any guess on how many ounces a week? Try to choose at least on the nuts or seeds. What do you think? It's very similar to fish, if that helps. So how many servings of fish should we have a week? We're going for at least 3, right? Okay, so then if it helps you remember, at least 3 ounces of nuts or seeds, 3 small handfuls at least per week while keeping in your calorie budget. And then avoiding the candied, honey roasted, and heavily salted. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so which one should you choose, right? So the cool thing is there's benefits to all of them. And like for instance, pistachios, they are the one nut where you have 49 of them in one serving, and which is more than any other serving of nut, and that's kind of cool. And then almonds have calcium, and walnuts have omega 3s, and pecans have a lot of fiber. So it's kind of cool. Like all the nuts have a different benefit. So you might hear more about one nut, and I would say there are some that they've been studied more, but all of them seem to have a different benefit. So one has more calcium, one has more fiber, one has more of the healthy fats. So, choosing a variety is really picking your favorites. They all have benefits, and then trying to switch it up when you can. So having, like, if you can, this would be a really, really, really good swap for you, as if you usually snack on some refined carbohydrates, maybe some pretzels or chips or crackers, that aren't whole grain. If you could choose nuts and seeds instead, that would be excellent. And people they've done a lot of studies on nuts because they're high calorie, right? So you'd be like, oh, this is kind of, I don't know if that's a good idea. But they found that people who have nuts or eat nuts don't have higher weights than other people. So there must be something about them. Maybe it's the fiber, maybe all the other good products, or maybe you feel more satisfied. But they are a really good, great part of your diet. So aiming for 3 ounces of nuts and seeds a week. It's important to be able to recognize what an ounce looks like just to know like where you're getting. So it's like about a handful, right? Here's some good ways to be able to tell. It's like 1/4 cup. So this is in general, like on average. Some nuts have more, some nuts have less. Like I just told you, pistachios have 49 to equal an ounce. You know, they're really, really light. So you get a lot of them in a serving. So you could check like a baby food jar, 1/4 cup, a sticky note. If you just line up all the nuts on there, that can give you an idea what an ounce is. Small handful, a shot glass surface of a smartphone. Some smartphones now, you never know, right? This will be one of those slides that's outdated after we come up with the next thing. So almonds, just a fun fact, they help, the almond board created this 1, 2, 3 rule. So 1 ounce of almonds is actually equal to 23 almonds. So it's like 1, 2, 3. You can remember that. And you can also package yourself out like ounces, so you have like little bags with them, or choose those 100-calorie like packs. Sometimes you see those. So how do you eat more than nuts? Say you don't just love them on their own, but you can add them to salads and grains. And there's lots of recipes out there, like we're doing that tonight. And then topping fruit with nuts and seeds, and then snacking on nuts and seeds. One of my favorite ways to eat nuts is putting them in my oatmeal, and then also using them in, like, instead of croutons, because I sometimes like something crunchy on my salads. And then I'll put like any kind of nut on there. I would love to know, like, if you guys want to write in your chat, like where you like to use nuts. I would be interested to know. Here's just a couple of recipes. So there's kale arugula farro salad. There's a whole wheat couscous salad, strawberry quinoa salad. We're making that tonight. Mushroom almond burger. So we made that. So these are some different ways. Great way to do that. So adding them into grains and then into salads. And then topping fruit with salads or topping fruit, that can also be a good one. So there's that cucumber salad with peanuts. And what this is, it usually has tomatoes and cucumbers. And then this recipe on the Med Instead of Meds way, they top it with peanuts, and it has mango in there too. It's kind of cool. And just, yeah. And thinking about maybe taking oranges, topping them with pistachios and a little bit of cinnamon can be giving you some protein and then also a healthy fruit as a snack. Oh, Pam, yeah, she said in yogurt instead of granola. That would be really, really good choice. Okay, so then here's your swapping your snacks then, right? So maybe instead of a cereal bar or a protein bar, go with the nuts, seeds, or nut butter. So you want to stay away from, when you can, those refined carbohydrates. And sometimes that's found in those cereal bars. And the nuts and seeds are really shelf stable, which is really nice, and portable, and can be less expensive also. Some of those protein bars are kind of a lot. You can get them with nuts. So you could buy nut butters too. So read the label. If you can look for a product with minimal ingredients, that would be great. And less added sugars, that also could be great. So if you look, this nut butter on the left, it contains peanuts, palm oil, and just a little bit of salt then. This product has 2 grams of sugar for every 2 tablespoons serving. And so that all of that comes naturally from the peanuts. So you see there's no sugar added in that one. And then the next one contains roasted peanuts, sugar, molasses, and hydrogenated oils. So this product has 3 grams of sugar for every 2 tablespoons serving. So since one of the sugars is added, we know that the 2 are natural. And so we know, we'll get to this too when we talk about added sugars, but we want to limit added sugars to 25 to 36 grams a day. So this one has, 2 grams of added sugars. So that's pretty low. And if you wanted to spend a little bit of your added sugars on that, that would be okay. And then so the one on the far right has 4 grams of added sugars. And so, like, if you can choose the one without any, that's fine. But the other one, they're both all these would be pretty good options. That's pretty low with added sugars. And so, like, if you think about a box of cereal, right? Some of them, like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, maybe 8 or 10, 8 to 9 grams added sugar. So you can think about like peanut butter would be a lower thing. So then to stir, not to stir, and um, you can buy nut butters that are just nuts and then maybe have a little bit of salt, but usually you have to stir them then. And as these products, they don't contain an emulsifier. So the ones that say you don't have to stir, they usually have like palm oil or a little bit of added sugar added. And that helps them be able to um, so you don't have to stir in the oil every time. So if you can just look for a product with minimal added sugar, that is the way to go. But stirring or not stirring, that's the difference, and both of them would be still good choices. And then, oh yeah, so the PB2, I feel like that it's a fat-free option. So we do know that nuts have healthy fats, but the peanut butter too has that's all it is the protein basically from the nut butter. So I um I think that can be a good choice for especially for things like when you want to flavor something peanut butter wise, it's but it is pretty processed. So like I have to say myself, I have some at my house and I use it for things like when I want to make banana ice cream and then add peanut butter powder. Sometimes it's easier to mix that in. It's pretty good source of protein, but it is more processed. So I'd say, peanut butter, that can be a really good choice too. And then Janet just said she likes adding nuts to salads and yogurts and oatmeal. Oh, she roasts her own pecans in olive oil and some salt and then eat them by the handful. Okay, so that it would be definitely better than a pie, right? But if you're gonna choose a pie, so okay, so then just a couple of things on portions then. So we're talking about nuts, so we might as well get into it. But eating mindfully means eating with awareness and awareness of what is on your plate and also the entire eating experience. So you're really enjoying what you're eating. And then it's being present in the moment and enjoying every aspect of the meal you're eating. I remember there's some studies that have been done where they gave people stale popcorn and they wanted to see if people would still eat it, like, or if they gave it to them for a movie. And so people they had these different size containers and people just, during the movie, they complained about how stale the popcorn was, but they kept eating it until the container was gone. And so it's like when you're mindfully eating, maybe you're like enjoying the taste more and you're being more aware of how much you're eating too. So just a portion is sometimes larger than it should be. And we've gotten bigger portions over time. I don't know if anybody's seen that McDonald's movie where they talk about how McDonald's started, but I was watching it and the people, like they showed pictures of the people eating like their McDonald's hamburgers like on the benches and stuff, and they were just so small. Everybody was happy, but they were just a normal like hamburger size, none of the like 4 stacks of hamburgers. So we've gotten larger portions, and that means we've been eating more calories than we need sometimes. So, and then we're like distorted because we don't even think like a normal hamburger, we're thinking that's too small. So just trying to realize that and know what a normal portion is. So a small handful of nuts and seeds is about 1 ounce, right? So we can be just getting that in our head just to what a normal portion is can be good. And then what is a normal portion of meat? So 3 ounces of cooked meat is about the size of the palm of your hand. You probably have heard about that, or a deck of cards. And I know sometimes, and this picture totally shows it, but sometimes when you go to the restaurant, you're like, wow, you think about your hand, and it kind of works out because, men might need higher, more ounces of protein a day. But they also have a higher or bigger palm. So it kind of works with kids too. So just trying to think, that would be your palm could be a good portion. And then looking at like burger sizes too. So the difference between like the ounces of chicken, sometimes it's hard, like it's not just one chicken breast. You might have to cut that multiple times and then you can get 3 ounces out of it. So 3 ounces would be a normal portion. And then sometimes recipes say, like put an ounce of cheese on that, or um, yeah, I think of it cheese a lot, but just it's like the palm of your hand or about the size of 2 dice or your thumb. So you can estimate that 1 ounce of cheese that way. And then what about something like 1 cup? So you might see 1 cup is 1 serving of cereal. And you can use that to estimate things like cereal, rice, pasta, and vegetables. So that's like your fist is about 1 cup. And a bowl might be a lot more than 1 serving. So just keeping that in mind too. It might be 2 or 3 or more servings. And maybe you need that, like we need so many ounces of grains, whole grains per day. It can give us good energy, and so that is fine. But then maybe throughout the rest of the day, then maybe you should have more fruits or healthy fats or dairy or other food groups. So just kind of keeping in mind what a serving is. And here's just another, it's so funny, right? Like the pasta, if you put it in a small, like, it can look like a really small amount. So just recognizing that maybe you're having more than 1 serving. And so that, like looking at your whole day, then what you have left in your different allotments of food groups. A lot of things in America, we are falling short on the fruits and vegetables. So maybe if you took that 1 cup of pasta and you added a bunch of like zucchini in there and tomato sauce, right? You could get some other food groups in there, maybe shrimp, and you wouldn't feel like eating so much of the pasta. Okay, so when you're home and you can measure out things, and you don't have to do this all the time, but it's fun to just do it for a few days just to see, because you usually end up using the same bowls and stuff, and you kind of remember, what 1 cup looks like in that bowl. And I know my mom, for instance, she uses in the oatmeal, she actually keeps the measuring cup in there just so she can measure out about a serving for breakfast. So that can be a way that you can do it too. And then also, I just wanted to say too, looking at like, thinking about your internal cues too. But what just, it'll help you figure out what, what a portion looks like on your plate. All right, when you are eating at home, you're in control, right? Cooking and eating at home is a good way to control what you're eating. And also serving your plate in the kitchen. This has been found is another strategy for helping control portions, because just kind of like what those people were doing in the movie theater with the popcorn. If you sometimes when you just have a bowl in front of you and you're just talking, you're like, oh, I'll just eat a little more, right? But then sometimes you're not thinking about if you're hungry or not. So just even having to get up to get the seconds, if you want some, can like put a thing in your mind to show, like a pause, I guess, just to make sure that you're still hungry. And then enjoy your meal, right? So portion out snacks. So that can be a really important thing. I used to work with kids, and just one of the things that was really important would be, portioning out the snacks, or taking the snacks and putting them in a bowl. So you're not just eating chips out of the big bag, right? You're taking out how much you're planning on having and putting them in a bowl. Or maybe you put a handful in there and then put the chips away. And then if you want more, you go and get more chips. But you don't just eat out of the bag, because sometimes it's hard to really, realize how much you're eating. So that's why those 100-calorie packs, they became famous, is because they help people do that. But you can just do it yourself too. Okay, and then just using different plate sizes, that can make a huge difference. When we were looking at the spaghetti picture, it is amazing when you put spaghetti on like a really big plate. Like it just looks so small, and then you'll want to put more. And so the idea of using smaller plates and then smaller glasses can really help. And our plates have gotten bigger. Some of them are 2 to 3 inches larger than in the past. So just thinking about just 9-inch plate would be the goal. And then, yeah, it can help a lot. I was just at a friend's house, and it's interesting. I just think about, the different sizes people use for ice cream bowls. So they got out these, they were like, do you want ice cream? And that she got out these little, little teacups. And so they were like not even, they were probably the 4 ounce half cup ones. They were like half of a teacup. And so she put the ice cream in there and it looked like it was overflowing in the little cup. But I bet it wasn't even, it was comparable to like, I guess when you go out to eat and get ice cream, or sometimes when I've eaten ice cream other times, it's a really small amount, but you felt like you were getting a lot. So that would be a great time to use that bowl. Just it can play tricks on you, and why not? So how many calories do you need? This can just a rough estimate. So amount of food that you eat is an essential part of building a healthy lifestyle. So what you drink and what you eat can impact your health and overall health a lot. And calories are a measurement tool, just like inches or cups. And calories, they are a measurement of energy. So it's like when you eat something, it gives you so much energy, and you use that energy throughout the day, and you use more if you're more active. But it's also important what the calories are made of. So it's kind of like you got to get that right mix of choosing the things that are nutrient dense, so that you don't add up with all your calories and have all your calories that you need with things that don't have a lot of nutrients, because then you're not going to feel so good or be so healthy. So it's like you have that many calories to use, kind of like a budget, and then you can use, if you have an apple, that would be some calories well used, right? So just trying to think about what you have. And then they depend on your activity level and your size and your gender. And so looking at the nutrition facts label can help you understand calories. Can really be nice on that too. Okay. And then, so swapping the fats, here's just some recipe ideas on that. So we got the olive oil toast, which we're making today. You might be doubting this, but you're going to have to try it. Mediterranean tuna salad. So, like instead of using mayonnaise, you could use the olive oil. This would be a good recipe just to give it a try. Then cucumber, olive oil, sea salt yogurt. That'd be something kind of fun and different. And then citrus salad dressing. So that would be another way to use olive oil. And then there's the brown rice salad recipe. So there's just some ideas. Then roasting vegetables. So, roasting vegetables brings out their sweetness. So that's the advantage of doing them that way versus like boiling them or steaming them. When you have trouble eating vegetables, sometimes that can be a trick. Can be a good way to do it. Great with kids. And then using olive oil deviled eggs. That could be an idea too. And then, so snacking on nuts and seeds. We got some salads that use them. And then something else we're making tonight, we're making those rosemary chili almonds. You can make them also with walnuts. And there's that, I have trouble saying it, but the salad with peanuts, kachumber, that's how you say it. And then the quinoa strawberry salad, whole wheat couscous salad, simple stir fry, add some nuts for the crunch, and the mushroom almond burger. And so that's what I have today. So when's the next class? So, okay, so we're going to go cook, but just so for the next class. So we've had these 3, and now we're going to skip 2 weeks. So don't let me lose you, but we'll skip 2 weeks, and then we'll go every Thursday for the last 3 weeks then. So we'll do June 29th, July 6th, and July 13th, and that's when we'll do the gift card drawing. So if you guys make some of these recipes, definitely please send them to me. And then I see I have some things in the chat. So does anybody have any questions? Oh, yeah. Pam was just talking about one of those stores. She said Tarpon Springs has one. It's the Tarpon Springs Olive Oil Company. You guys might have seen other ones. I think Winter Haven might have one. They have like the olive oils infused with things like garlic and basil and dill and other herbs, and it makes it really fun to use them. And then infuse balsamic vinegar. So then you can taste a bunch. She's saying, not the cheapest option, but love the garlic. I actually have the garlic one. I have one with spicy peppers also. which is kind of fun because I like that. Oh, and then Brittany was saying, chewing more times can help with portion control too, and that's a good point. Definitely. So slowing down when you're eating, be good. Does anybody have any questions? Or I'll run to the kitchen. We'll get started. Okay. Thank you guys. Okay, so just give me a minute or two. I'll try to make it faster than all other times. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I think we got it, guys. You can hear me okay. Really close. All right, I got hand sanitizer. All right, we're gonna cook these 4 recipes really quick. Right here. Okay, so we have arugula. It made it from last week, which is really awesome. We're doing it again. So you see, we're kind of using the same foods over and over. So you'll get this pantry of the same type of things. So we're in greens. We've got some quinoa. So that's that complete protein whole grain. And we have some spinach for the salad also. Need a bigger table. Strawberries. And then the Dijon mustard. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is the almonds because they'll take the longest. So I've got it here. I'm going to put medium, which would be 275. Starting that. And so I just divided the recipe in half. So it calls for 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and I'm doing a half tablespoon. So I got this on medium. Use like dark container, right? Okay, so we got a half tablespoon there. And then I'm gonna put in a cup of the nuts. So these are the ones high in calcium, high in fiber. So I'm just gonna kind of get that olive oil on them. And then what I have here is rosemary, a dash of salt, and then I have some chili pepper, chili flakes. And you can use the ones that you see where they're whole chili flakes, and then you can crush them. You can also use those. So rosemary, remember that one's good for your memory. You can remember rosemary for your memory, and it also helps with alertness. And it has antioxidants. And it's anti-inflammatory. That's the same with chili powder too. So those spices, that's why using herbs and spices can be really good. It smells really good. So if you have fresh rosemary, you can definitely use that. So they want me to continuously stir, so I will try to continuously stir. Kind of. Okay, so we have that. There were some other things. Oh, almonds, they help lower cholesterol. They lower the bad cholesterol, which is really nice, and keep the good cholesterol high. So that's another fun thing about them. We talked about, yes, almonds are also one of the higher protein nuts. So we were talking about how they always have different benefits for the different nuts. So that would be a good one. And then also good for blood glucose. So they found that it can help stabilize blood glucose levels, which is really nice. And there was one other thing I wanted to tell you. So it's really funny. So I went to get the almonds today, and I needed the whole natural almonds, which they're all natural. But the whole almonds, what I meant is non-seasoned. Okay, so in Walmart, just for fun fact, I was shopping there today, and there are the nuts in the nut baking section. So I went there to see how much they were, and so I saw a pound of nuts, and then I was like, it was kind of a bigger bag. So I wanted to see if there was a smaller bag also. So I looked in the nut snacking section, And I went there, and there was another pound of nutmeg. So there was one. This is the one. These are the kind, like, if you look for the green, they're the ones in the baking section, right? And then when I went to the snack section, there was this kind of bag. And they were both Walmart brand, the Great Value, and they were both a pound. Not this big, but the ones in the baking section were. But the ones in the snacking section were cheaper. And I was just like, I don't know why, but if anyone figures that out, you'll have to let me know. So I feel like shopping is sometimes like a game. You know, just look at different sections, try to have fun finding what you need, and then looking for the different prices. So you think it'd make it a little bit easier for us, but okay. So we've got that started. Then the other thing we're gonna start with would be the olive oil toast. Now, I'm excited about this because I made it before, and I think you're gonna like it. So we're going with medium high on that. And then I have my whole wheat pieces of bread. And if you sometimes I get Ezekiel, and that's that sprouted bread. And so sprouted bread helps with digestion, which is really nice. But any of the whole grain ones would be great. So how do you know it's whole grain? You look for the word whole in the first ingredient on the list. And that's how you know you're getting a whole grain one. Okay, so I have my 2 pieces, and I'm going to take 2 teaspoons of olive oil. So it's like instead of butter, you're using olive oil. And so you might wonder, like, when I was thought about making olive oil toast, I thought you would just take the olive oil and like put it on the toast. And, you know, that probably would work, but it wouldn't work as well as this. So when I saw this recipe and tried it, I was very impressed. It seems smart. So it's kind of like you toast the olive oil in the bread. So I put 1 teaspoon for every piece. And then smelling these. Look at that. Okay, then I'm gonna move this all around. Then I'm gonna take my 2 pieces of bread and put them in the pan. I think we got it pretty good. Great. So I've got my 2 pieces. I'm just gonna set them in there. And then what you could use is a brick, or you don't have to do this, but it can help like them toast like and get crunchy. So if I could find something hard to put or heavy to put on top of these, so you could use like a brick that has a napkin underneath it or something so that, you know, it didn't get dirt on your food. But I found this pot here. It's really heavy. So it's pot, and then I put in I have some containers of Tupperware with plates in them. So I put them in there. So it's pretty good now. So we're just going to put that right on top. So I get some extra sear on that. So we're going to do that. Okay. So we've got that going. And then what I'm going to do is make one of those pieces of that olive oil toast into the avocado toast. So we can do so many recipes at one time. These are almost ready. Oh, good. So you guys do these recipes, you would get an entry for the toast and then an entry for putting the avocado on it. So that can be pretty good. And I just applied to Publix for some gift cards. So we're gonna see what happens there. Otherwise, I've got your back with other ones. So fun thing about avocados. So I was doing a little bit of research, and it takes 12 to 14 months for one of these avocados to ripen. So you know how sometimes like you're frustrated because it's really hard, but you might only have a couple days left so must have patience. And then it goes, it's kind of funny because like that meme that I sent you guys, it goes from, you know, hard, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, it's pretty good. And then it's too far gone. But there's that time when it's just delicious and creamy, and it's really good for your skin, and it has those monounsaturated fats we were talking about. And the other fun thing, okay, so on average, 9,000 people, this was in 2021, go to the emergency room every year for what they call avocado hand, or injuries caused by trying to cut an avocado. So don't be that person. And so you never want to put a sharp knife where, like, on top of your hand. So recommended. This is by the avocado people too, so it's not just me saying this. Um, these are nuts. They're nuts. They're ready. They're starting to pop. So I'm gonna shut that out. Okay, so you put the avocado flat surface, and then it's kind of cool. You go around it, right? Kind of get that. But then you can go around it one more time. So it's like I cut it in half the horizontal way, but then if you turn it a quarter turn, and then you just cut it one more time. And if you have a sharper knife than mine, that would be good. You know, you're more likely to cut yourself with a dull knife because you're putting more pressure on it. So now I have it in these 4 pieces, which I have to say, I usually cut my avocado just in half and then I'll scoop it out, right? But so the green part right by the edge of the peel is where the most nutrition is. That's where the most antioxidants are. So if you can just take it and then take the peel off like this, then you're going to get all of it, you know? So then this way you can also just remove that with your hand. You don't have to use like whack the thing with the knife. Okay, so I'm going to get that. I'm going to check out my bread here. Stuck to the pan. But you guys saw that coming. All right, I'm going to flip it. Ooh. So I guess the sprouted bread, or you know, those Ezekiel pieces, if you guys ever see that, that's the bread that's in the freezer. It probably would hold up better to a big weight put on it, but it does look really good. Look at that. So I'm gonna just do the other side a little bit. Get some good flavor on there. Okay, and while that is happening, I think these almonds here, they are done. It's pretty cool. I know because they were starting to pop in the pan. So, what's that? It's cool that we can use things like herbs and spices, and you know they just have health benefits. So it's just the salt that we have to worry about. So all those looks pretty good. Right? I want to try. Oh, they're hot. They're good. Really good. Right, like a nutty rosemary flavor, and I put an extra spicy chili. Okay. I've got some avocado pieces. I can see some of you guys are cooking. That's good. Okay. I've got the chat up over here, so if you guys have anything you would like to say. Okay, I think I'm gonna shut that off. We have black pieces of toast. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm gonna put on my avocado. Ooh. I was gonna just put it on one of them, but it's calling for it. Gotta get all of it out. I feel like kids would have a lot of fun doing this part. This would be one of those things that, you know, if you could have something like this for breakfast, could be good, especially if you have diabetes, just because the fats, the healthy fats in the avocado would help balance your blood sugar out, even if you're having toast. That would be the same like peanut butter. What I really like to do, and I don't know, maybe some of you guys do this too, you'll have to tell me how you guys like to have your avocado toast, but Some people mash it on there and put like pepper, and then I can put red pepper seasoning, or I'll put a poached egg on there. It's really good, and then it'll kind of run over that. So if you like that sort of thing, that's one of my favorite. And then you can put on like spinach and tomato and things like that, and that can be a pretty good breakfast. And I can sprinkle nuts on it, right? Okay, so I gotta try just a portion of that toast while it's hot. Okay, so if you love butter on your toast, you're gonna have to try this and just see if it also could work. It's good. I think it's good. Yeah, really good. Okay, so now we just have one more thing left. And that's a plate. Okay, so now the salad, right? So it's kind of cool. It's like a lettuce salad, but it's also a grain salad. So it's a grain and lettuce salad all in one. And what I have, so I'm at work in Bartow, and we have an extension office, and they have a demonstration garden outside. And I'm very lucky because right now, in the edible part of the demonstration garden, they have fresh basil growing. So I was able to just go outside and pick some fresh basil. So I have the rosemary smell and the basil smell. It's delicious. All right. So what I did is I have some spinach, and I already cut this. And so it said to cut it in the chiffonade. And that is a French term for basically rolling the green up. You can do it with lettuce. You can do it with leeks. You can do it with herbs. So you roll it up, and then you slice it in thin ribbons. And so it kind of looks really pretty. So I'm splitting the salad in half. So I just did half the recipe. So here's about 1 cup of the spinach. And then if you remember, I have the arugula. I'll put in about 1 cup of that. Remember, 1 cup is like your fist. So that can help me. Okay, we got it. I'll that a little bit. And then calls for, so I already cooked the quinoa. And I had, so if I was cutting the recipe in half, I cooked 1/4 of it. So quinoa is that complete protein, and it's the one that looks like where the germ, it comes out of each of the kernels. So that's why some people say it looks like there's a worm in there, but no, there's not. It's just that the germ, when it's cooked, it comes out of the seed. And so you kind of see it there. So I'm putting all that in. And say, it seems like it's almost like half grain, half greens. Okay, so we got those two. And then, so we're supposed to chiffonade the basil leaves too. So I picked a bunch of the leaves, said like a good handful. So I have some here, and I just lined them up. Ooh. I lined them up on top of each other. And then I'm going to roll them. Move the avocado. And then I'm just going to use not my dull knife, but the sharp knife. And cut them into little ribbons. It's kind of pretty, see? So put those in there, got those. And then we need, okay, so we got the roasted nuts, more almonds. Today is an almond day. And then I have balsamic vinegar, I have olive oil, and salt and pepper, and I need mustard. So, see, mustard. So it's 1 teaspoon of mustard. And so 1 teaspoon is like your thumb tip. So 1 tablespoon and 1 ounce of cheese is like your thumb. So 1 teaspoon is that amount right there. I got this. So I'm just going to put in, whoa, put in a dash of that extra mustard. So that's an emulsifier. And I'm going to dump the balsamic with that and some extra pepper. Ooh. The pan is also hot. Pepper, dash of salt. And then I'm going to shake it up. And then strawberries was the other thing too. and the almonds. Okay, so we got balsamic vinegar, Dijon mustard, olive oil, salt and pepper to taste, quinoa, spinach, arugula, strawberries. And you could just use all spinach or all arugula, but I happen to have both, so might as well. And then it called for strawberries. Yep, and almonds. All right, we're almost done. This is looking good though, see? Okay, so we're dumping this. Maybe I'll put the strawberries up first. I cut up some extra strawberries. I hope that's okay. I couldn't help it. Maybe that's so delicious. Okay, so we got the strawberries in there, the dressing in there, and then the roasted nuts. I'm gonna toss this. Pam said they have butter infused olive oil. That is good. That's that would be fun to try. They're a lot of fun with food, right? Okay. And yes, let's go with everything bagel seasoning. Yes, definitely Mediterranean. I feel like everything bagel seasoning is like sea salt caramel. You know how like it goes, sometimes it goes in trends, but sea salt caramel has stayed around a long time. So I feel like that everything bagel, people have found out about it. But did you know, I'm pretty sure, yes, there's an everything bagel Mrs. Dash seasoning. So that would be salt free. So that could be fun. So here's what I have. I don't know if you can see it okay. Kind of exciting. I have more strawberries per capita. That'll be pretty good. I could see this also being good with like cut up roasted chicken or shrimp or salmon. That would be good with our salmon also. We could add tuna in there. Let's see. Okay, do you guys have any questions? I think we did all 4. So we're good. You guys will have to tell me if there's anything special that you want to make sure we do in one of the last 3 classes. But I really hope you guys don't forget to come back. I will email you. I have to see. Did anyone cook? You guys will have to show me if you cooked. Ah, you guys did. That's awesome. That looks great. Brittany, that's good deal. Then Jamie's got stuff. Strawberry, woohoo. Yeah, you guys all have to email me. Janet, that looks great. Those are really good. You have to take a picture and send it to me so I can put it in the next presentation. It's really great, you guys. Thank you so much for coming. I have a lot more fun with the cooking part with you guys, so thank you. We made it through the pause part. Okay, well, I hope you have a really good night, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. I'm going to Minnesota to see my family, so I'll come back, and then we'll get cooking again. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye, you guys. Thank you.